So you had asked me about how did I grow as a Christian. So I would like to answer you and say that, this experience has like turned me into the ultimate prayer warrior, and I've been confident in that the Lord would carry us through every single step of the way, and that I've been the perfect biblical husband and father throughout all of this. What I'll say is, I haven't really changed, in that I am trusting the Lord, and I do have faith in a good outcome long term. You've heard me say that many times. But excuse me. But the truth is, this is the first time in our life where I think we've both had to experience real, true hardship, and you've had to experience suffering. And the kind that doesn't go away quickly, the kind that takes a long time. And so, as a Christian, it's like any long period of your life, if I'm being completely blunt and honest, where there's ups and downs, right? And so, there's been times where I do feel very close to the Lord, where I do feel like we are in His hand and He is guiding us through this process. And then there are times where I feel very shaken. But the truth is, there's two constants. One is I trust the Lord, and I know that He loves you and that He has a plan for you and a plan for our family. And the other constant is that this has been a lesson in faith, such that, and this is sort of where all of my comments allude to, this idea that I can't really help control the outcome of your cancer. I can pray for you, and I can try to physically support our family, but really, where I am left is crying out to the Lord and giving the thing to Him to care for that is the most important to me in all the world, and that's you, because I can't. And so this has been an exercise in growing true faith. I can't see the outcome, and it's also really been like a teaching moment for me that faith certainly isn't easy, and it's certainly not always, like glamorous, but it's real and sustaining, even when you have absolutely no energy left.
I would agree with you. I've seen you grow as like a person, a Christian too, and I've seen like you grow in like your leadership of our family. You've had to like make some hard decisions for our family, and like thinking about like what's best for my health, because like you mentioned before that I just want to just go do things and like not like ignore, like not be like not cautious at all, but like you're just a lot more cautious and stuff. And so I've had to practice like being like submissive in that, like, and it's like good. It's like we balance each other out, because like I need that right now. I need him to like think about things like not just with all the emotions, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've seen you, like you've already said, like you're oftentimes an anxious person. And I think that was something I was nervous about going into. Like when I found out, I was like worried about that. But like you've definitely had your moments of anxiety, but like I feel like you've had that under control a lot. Like a lot. And God's like really helped you like overcome that. How have we grown as a couple? We talk a lot. We've always talked a lot.
Yeah, we've always talked a lot.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
Like when we were dating, we were like 6 hours on the phone and rack up too much money on our cell phone bills.
Well, we've had another child.
Yes. Our family has grown.
Yep. I think that like our relationship. So going into this, I remember thinking, man, I am so grateful for our relationship, and I'm so grateful that there's not. And I'm honestly grateful. This is not a boast of any part from our own doing, but I'm just grateful that there's not a strain on our marriage going into this.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that,
because this could really easily tear people apart. It's hard.
I'm grateful that our worldviews are similar. I'm grateful that our values are the same. I do think there have been some pinnacle decision points about like things we do, like sort of what you mentioned earlier, where we haven't been totally aligned, and but we work through it just like anything. It is hard especially during chemo week, when Tiffany, you're going through a lot, and you're exhausted, and you are emotional, and you are in pain, and you are uncomfortable, and it's not easy to deal with a 2-week-old or now a 3-month-old and a 2-year-old. And there are times where I guess a good friend reached out to me with a letter a while ago, and just wrote about from his perspective about what I might be going through. And he sort of referenced that for that day where you've gone above and beyond your duty 100 times and you have to keep doing it again and again and again and you have no energy left. That's sort of what it feels like during chemo week. And and this isn't like Tiffany's doing all the hard work, and if I could trade places with her I would, but for our marriage I know that we are going to come out of this stronger than ever, because it has led me to value you so highly, more than I've always loved you. You've known that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I looked at you once and I said, this is what my vows are for this time, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I meant them then, and I mean them right now. And I want to take care of you more than I've ever wanted to take care of you. I want to love you more than I've ever loved you. I want to grow super ancient and old with you more than I've ever wanted to grow super ancient and old with you. And so knowing that, combined with the fact that I know now, categorically, that there's no guarantee and no promise, it just makes me want to love you so hard. So anyway, so as a couple, I think we have a refreshed perspective on the value of life and the one run through we have,
Mm-hmm.
and the blessings that God has given us in growing our little family unit.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't want to take it for granted.
I know that for me, every year we've been together. We've been together for a long time, since 2006. We started dating, and we were married in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And every year, I think I can't love him more. I can't love him more. And I think that's pretty normal. But then it's when you go through something like this, I just think how can I? It's I don't know. Our love really has deepened, and it's because of sacrifice. Because true love is sacrifice. And I've watched Paul make so many sacrifices for our family over and over, and especially during chemo week. And I'm so glad we only have to do that one more time. But then in this talking made me think about surgery, and that's not a cakewalk. I also think we both had to learn to be at times be generous with each other in forgiveness.
Yes.
Because you get really stressed out, and it just doesn't bring out, it doesn't always bring out, going through something like this doesn't always bring out the best in a person, but we've both done really well at being there for each other through the hard times. Anything else?
Yeah, if there's time.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing that's worth mentioning is, if there's any dads out there watching this, that when your wife has your child, it is one of the most sacrificial things a person can do. And so when you watch that happen, you love your wife more because of how she's willing to give of herself, give of her body, give up pain, and then give up her own personal resources to raise and sustain that life. And this experience, I experienced that once already with my oldest. And now it feels like I've watched Tiff do this while going through cancer treatment, while going through surgery. And, to be this isn't an actual true comparison, but the truth is, the doctors made it pretty clear that if Tiffany wasn't pregnant, she would have gone through radiation. And so, it was no question in our mind that we were going to protect that baby, and we were going to do everything we could to treat Tiffany's cancer. What that meant is radiation was withheld until Abby was brought into the world. During that time, we all know that Tiffany's cancer, it's technically a recurrence. It's really an extension of what she originally had. So, as a husband, I feel like I'd be leaving a piece out if I didn't say this. But that feeling that you dads out there know of watching you growing to love your wife more as she sacrifices for your children. Tiffany is now going through chemotherapy and another surgery and more treatment, and in large part because Abby's here. And Abby was worth the wait. I wouldn't trade Abby in for anything. She is a chunky, happy little wonderful baby and a wonderful addition to our family. But I'm watching Tiff sacrifice more and more all the time for our family. And so how has it changed our marriage? That definitely plays into it.
We're getting close, bottom third or fourth,
right.
maybe.
Right.
What are some tips you would give to another spouse, man or woman? I mean, you only speak of your experience, so probably other dads and fathers, for as their spouse facing surgery, chemo, cancer, just kind of everything. Practical
tips.
Tips.
Okay. HelloFresh is awesome.
It is.
If you're not used to cooking and you need to suddenly cook and you don't know how to grocery shop for a meal plan, just a plug, sponsor us HelloFresh. Sorry. No, but truthfully, truthfully, there's a couple things I guess I would mention if like another husband or sat down with me and asked me like what should I think of or how should I prepare. Get ready to be patient and put your own needs on hold. And I know what that might sound like, and it might sound like, oh, it's unhealthy, you need an outlet. But the truth is, my family really needed me. Tiffany already mentioned I'm a person who tends to deal with a lot of anxiety. I take my responsibilities in life really seriously, and sometimes that gives me stress. But I knew any stress that I exhibited would negatively impact my family. So I prayed about it a lot and asked the Lord for a lot of grace and the ability to just bite down on the mouth guard and do what I had to do. And the Lord blessed me. And blessed me with what sort of strength I didn't know I had, and the ability to, I've never been a great time manager, the ability to get through what I needed to do to work, take care of Tiffany, take care of 2 kids, or at least cart them around, get food on the table, and somehow keep our cars running, and
work a full-time job. More than 40 hours a week.
And do the laundry and all that sort of thing. I say all that to say this. Part of the reason why I was able to do that, or why I'm still doing that today during chemo weeks, is because the Lord's good to me, and also because I'm trying to keep my eye on the most important thing, and that is her, and not me. And when you get married, that's what you sign up for. So that would be tip number 1. Tip number 2 is you can't do that forever. And so you do need to take care of yourself when you can.
Yeah.
And those moments are fleeting, so you got to take advantage of them. A couple of rounds of chemo ago, I realized I was getting to a really unhealthy place. I hadn't gone anywhere and done anything in a long time, and for the first time I was really starting to feel it emotionally. And I told Tiff this. I had very purposefully been avoiding self-assessment. And so
healthy.
But just so I could get through. Just so I could get through. And so when I recognized that, I reached out to my oldest friend and took a night off and went and spent some time with him, and it was really good and healthy for me just to have an outlet. So that's tip 2. Don't go into that mode long term. And then tip number 3, if you have children, take time to enjoy them. It's really easy to want to just cart them through their little phases of the day. Eat your food, change your clothes, don't pee your pants. Go out. I literally would catch myself taking my 2-year-old outside and just finding something for her to do that was physically active to burn off energy without me having to engage. And those babies are there for a reason. Enjoy them when you can, because honestly, this might not make sense, but my little kids have helped me get through this. Anything else that you can think of? Like, is there a realm that I'm not hitting on?
No, I think that covers a lot. Yeah.
And then also, don't Google yourself into the pits of despair and fear. Trust the Lord. Trust your medical professionals. Get a second opinion if you have to, but don't waste your time and resources, because especially with cancer, I really think that there's some similarities, but everyone's story is so different, that you won't be able to find a flow chart that shows what your experience is, your life's experience is going to be like.
I think another thing you were really good at in supporting me was like, when there was any questions in my mind, it plays in my personality. Sometimes I would just be like, it's fine, because optimistic. I'm not gonna worry about it. But Paul, even since the very beginning, if you watch my first video, it's like, no, let's call, because there is no nothing bad's gonna happen about asking. There's no problem asking your doctors. And he was a good advocate for me to press me to go ask a question or call about a symptom when I would maybe tend to kind of wait until it got worse.
Yeah, and that's just coming from, the stakes are high, and so, baby crying? Okay. The stakes are really, really high, and I wasn't even able to be there in person when I wanted to every single time, so I was certainly going to try to get the answers we could, even remotely.
Kind of gets into this year realm of chemotherapy mostly. So what do you remember about in January when I discovered the lump when I was 6 weeks pregnant?
I was working downstairs and in the basement, and when I came upstairs and saw you, I could tell something was wrong, and you had told me that you felt another mass in your chest, and I wanted to try to justify or dismiss it. You had had a reconstruction, things were different in your chest, and I wanted to maybe think it's a buildup of scar tissue. They had spoken to us about that. It's something other than what we pretty much knew it was, but the thing is, you had me feel it, and it was right at the 12 o'clock section, right where
they told us
there was
to watch.
An unclear margin, and you knew what it was. And so it honestly I felt numb as we went through the procedural steps, the exact same things we had done the year before. Only this time, we were just weeks away from having a baby. And so, it wasn't as much like fear or of the unknown, because I felt pretty confident that I knew what it was, as much as it was dread of having to do it all again and think about it all again while we were trying to raise a newborn.
Yeah. We were so close to like having the baby and everything. And so it was just like a big shock in a way. Yeah.
I think we'd become really comfortable. It was in the back of our minds, like we had said earlier in the video.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the back of our minds that we may not be done with this thing yet. But I think we had become so comfortable with the lifestyle, having moved past cancer 9 months later, that, or 7 or 8 months later, that, you know, we had kind of been clinging to that idea that we were done. And this was sort of like a reminder. And, you know, I would say that this recurrence has been much harder.
Yes.
Much harder. From like a faith and
emotional, everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So then we found out I would be needing, like pretty quickly after I found out what type of cancer, like that night we found out I would be needing chemotherapy. And so what were your fears when you like found that out?
What were my fears?
Yeah.
So, well, we had felt so grateful that it really felt like we got away with not needing chemo the last time when we got your labs back, and the type of cancer you had wouldn't be very responsive to chemotherapy. So that felt like a huge shock, because, you know, like I said, I'm an absolute layman, but, you know, if your cancer had recurred, I assumed it would be the same type, just more of it. And so that was a shock. And the fear is the unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we had very purposefully, we weren't like in the dark and uneducated, but we had really stayed in our lane, because the topic of cancer is massive and broad. And so we had done a good job of trusting our doctors, researching what they told us, you know, we had, and figuring out what decisions we wanted to make in that light. So we had done a little bit of research into chemo, but not a lot, because we weren't going to have to do it.
Yeah. My perspective was like, I'm not going to research and scare myself until like I know that I would have to do that, because like my brain can only handle so much.
Yep. And so now it was time to consider what that meant, and what that meant for, you know, with 2 small children, and some chemotherapy lasts a couple months, some chemotherapy lasts a couple years. And so where in that spectrum would we fall? What would it mean to Tiff? Well, how would her body respond? It was a lot of fear. And then I was thinking to myself, wow, taking care of the baby, taking care of the 2-year-old while Tiff recovered from surgery, was it challenging? What was it going to be like when Abby arrived?
And then we talked about this a little bit already, but from your perspective, what were like some of the hardest side effects for me, like while we go through this chemo?
Well, you have an enormous list of side effects. Every 2.5 weeks, Tiffany gets an infusion, and when she gets that infusion, it sort of hits the reset timer on the clock, and for a week, really it's a week and a half before all of her symptoms clear up, she experiences, for the first couple nights, insomnia. She has really bad gastrointestinal side effects that are so significant that they dehydrate her, and we've had to take her 5-6 times in for hydration at the hospital. She has extreme fatigue, mouth sores, nausea, some bone pain towards the beginning, which sort of has transitioned into extreme gallbladder pain that will literally have her hunched over in pain and immobile. And to be honest with you, those are not the bad ones. To me, the bad ones are the cognitive side effects. So she has brain fog, which is really just cognitive impairment. She has a hard time multitasking or thinking through things that normally on a normal day, Tiffany is texting 300 different people while raising 2 children, and like doing all of the grocery shopping and planning our next vacation, and gardening and cleaning, making sure the entire house is clean while she's refinishing some furniture. That's like normally what Tiff does in a day. And when this brain fog hits, she'll become overwhelmed, even if she's like trying to keep up a couple text messages and I come in and try and talk to her, to the point where it can be emotional. In addition to that, she clearly, and it's in the literature as a side effect, but she clearly experiences depression. Tiffany is not a person who's dealt with depression, or honestly even anxiety, in the time that I've known her up to this point. And that is the worst one, by far. Tiff has said in the videos she doesn't feel like herself. It's an understatement. And so I'm not trying to glorify any of that. I'm just saying that's what she goes through, and it is extremely difficult. And as a husband, for about a week after chemo, it's like Tiff is there, but she's not. And that's very hard. I love her just the same, but she doesn't act the same or talk the same or take care of the babies the same. And that's just is what it is. And it's usually, like 5-6 days later, that's when a lot of those mental things sort of dissipate. And when I say sort of, I mean it's like a switch. And I sleep on the couch during that week. That way Tiff can get all the rest she needs, and I'm on baby duty doing all the night baby stuff. And she usually comes and wakes me up because about 5-6 days in, I'm so tired. I am just sleeping away. And I'm telling you, and this is the truth.
It is.
She'll wake me up, and I will look up at her, and she'll be looking down at me, and it's just like, I know, because I can tell that she's like looking at me and really seeing me for like the first time since infusion day. And it's so exciting that we almost cry, and then Tiff instantly goes and wakes up the babies early and piles them all on the bed with me, and we have like a big family party. And it's the best.
I make breakfast.
It's the best. Yeah, and then she makes breakfast, and it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So anyway, your question was what have the side effects been like?
Yeah.
Immensely terrible.
Yeah.
And they've been cumulative. The duration sort of gets more intense every time we go. But the good news is we just have one more tomorrow. We're going to get through it, just like we have every other time. You're extremely strong. You can do this. And there's a lot of people who love you and are praying for you. I'm one of them. And yeah. So I know it's a really sad answer, but it's the truth.
All right, last question.
Okay.
What are you looking forward to in the next year?
The next year is an exciting year. It's I really do truly. I know we're talking about cancer, so a lot of my answers have been probably sad. But the truth is, the next year is very exciting, and God has blessed us so much. If you think about it, in the last year, we have gotten more family time in since I started working remote than ever. I've seen my babies more than ever because I'm home all the time. Within the next year, we won't have to live in that sort of in-between state of knowing that you got.
We're praying this.
We're praying.
Yes,
We're praying. This is our prayer.
Hopes.
You said, what do I hope for
Yeah,
the next year?
Yeah.
No. And so I'm hoping that we get through surgery and that it gets behind us, and that by like late fall, and who knows, maybe we'll have to send a sad update to this video, but we're hoping and praying that by fall we have a good report, surgery's done, we're done with radiation, we're into our hormone therapy, and we can, I'm hoping I'm not naive. I know that this is still a long journey ahead of us, but my hope is that we can reach a stable state where there's no imminent threat every day.
Yeah.
That's sort of what it feels like. And I struggle to articulate it, but in the back of our minds, there's an imminent threat every day. And you want there to be this clear finish line that you step across, and someone like congratulates you and shakes your hand and says, you did it, you're cancer free. And I think we're going to get there together, but I think it's not quite that clear.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that we get through surgery, we get through radiation, and then we start our hormone therapy, and we get some clean MRI scans, and that we will rejoice and thank the Lord, and get past all this COVID stuff, and we can re-engage our ministry and re-engage our community and travel. Yeah, that's really it. And reach a state of normalcy where we can have a week go by, or even a couple of days go by, and not really think about any scary upcoming treatment. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
I just keep thinking of the men out there or maybe wives who have loved ones who are coming up on this thing. I just want to encourage you to just remember your vows and remember the responsibility that you have, and to take that responsibility to try and be there for your family. I told Tiff earlier today, I really hope that I'm doing an honorable job here. And I know I'm not perfect, and you can tell I'm emotionally compromised. But the truth is, I never thought about what it would be like to shave my wife's hair. I never thought about what it would be like to drop her off for a chemotherapy infusion, and then I have nowhere to go all day because I can't go in with her. But the truth is, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I wouldn't want to be with anyone else. So value your wives and value your families, and thank the Lord for the blessings that you have. I think that's about it for me.
I love you.
I love you.